Alrighty, gang, we are live. So, if you're wondering, we are back again. Yes, sir, we are back, and we're back with fresh stuff, new backgrounds, and everything. So, tune in for this episode because guess what? I'll be doing something kind of crazy if the Saints do make the playoffs in 2025. Let's hit that intro, baby. Who dat? Realize I'm on mute. There we go. Welcome to the Who Dat Weekly, featuring the Dirty Dev's finest, Christopher J. Spires. All right, that's a hell of a lot better. So, we're finally back, and we have a lot of new upgrades. If you can't tell, we finally got ourselves a very nice background. I've been wanting to use the OBS Studios for a while, but my old Mac that I've been using for the last couple of months finally gave out. It couldn't handle the pressure anymore. So, but that's all right. We got a new computer to replace it, and we're back, baby. We're ready to talk some more football today. Woo! All righty, gang. So, as you notice that the topic of today's video is I will do something quite crazy if the Saints do make the playoffs in 2025. I'll talk about that very soon. So, but beforehand, let's give a shout out to all you Who Dats out there, all my fellow subscribers. You guys are the best. You guys are what got me going into this sort of thing. Like, I love talking about Saints football. I love talking about football in general. So the fact that I'm able to finally do this at I wouldn't say a professional level quite yet, because it's not quite there yet in terms of numbers, but it's a great start to begin with. So, plus the season is just right around the corner, and I can't wait, baby. So, and speaking of right around the corner, the Saints play the Cardinals coming up this week, this Sunday, September the 7th, 2025, to start the season, the NFL 2025 season. And I couldn't be more excited about that. I mean, you could see the look on my face, y'all. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. We're going to be talking about mainly the Saints, but we're also going to go through around the NFL and talk about a few things. Of course, talk about what I will do if the Saints do make the playoffs in 2025. So, also we're going to go over a few college sports, because this past weekend we had college football kick into gear, and it was a doozy. I'm going to talk about that for a few minutes as well, so hope you guys enjoy this video. So, in fact, let's go ahead and start talking about college football, because it's literally at the top of my head. So yesterday, when I say yesterday, yesterday, there was some college football available online, and it was South Carolina and Virginia Tech. South Carolina absolutely decimated Virginia Tech. What's up, Jerry? I see you. How you doing, brother? Who Dat Nation? Let's go. Anyway, so yesterday we had some college football, and the day before that, obviously, we had the huge bulk of it. So I'm not going to go through every single college football event, but I will talk about some of the big ones. So let's start with the fun one, as I call it. Alabama and Florida State. I have to wonder what in the world happened. Goodness gracious, I kid you not. I don't know what exactly happened to Bama. I mean, I knew having a Nick Saban less squad is going to have some complications, but at the same time, they've looked so bad, and I am so happy about that. Florida State absolutely gave them the butt whooping they deserved, and Yeah, so you could. It was a fun matchup to watch, and I was loving every second of it because I absolutely hate Bama. So there you go. Yes, Jerry, absolutely. I'm about to be talking about this week's game momentarily, so I can't. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm actually going to be at the game myself. I can't wait. So if you guys want to say hi to me while I'm at the dome, come say hi. That's right. So yeah, anyway, so going back to college football, so Bama lost absolutely miserably to Florida State, and then there was a couple other key matchups. There was Ohio State and Texas. That was an intriguing matchup because that was interesting because I really wanted to see what Arch Manning was made of, and while he's already getting a lot of flack online, it's it's kind of sad how he was touted all over social media to be a Heisman favorite, and then all of a sudden he has one bad game and everyone thinks he's absolutely garbage. Now, I want to put the timeout here. I have to do the timeout because, guys, Arch Manning this is his literal first full season as a starter, pending if he gets hurt. God forbid that. But I have to say, like, I'm not worried about Arch Manning quite yet, even though I don't care about Texas and all that. But I would say let's pump the brakes on the hate train for Arch Manning. The poor kid just went up against the national champions, Ohio State. Give me a break, gang. Come on, guys. So, but with that being said, like, yeah, I'm not gonna worry about too much about that, but I would say like he did better than most, especially against the defending champions. So there is that. Yeah, so I would say let's not worry about Arch Manning quite this minute. So I'm sure he will correct himself. I'm sure Texas will correct themselves. I mean, Texas also lost a lot of people too to the draft, so there's that. So yeah. Anyway, with that being said, let's move on to the other matchups, and all you LSU fans are going to love this because we all know the real Death Valley. Even though me, as an Ole Miss fan, I could care less. But, you know, because I grew up in Louisiana, I was hoping LSU would win this matchup because I absolutely hate Clemson. So, that's right. So, like, Clemson got what they deserved. They lost a nail-biter to LSU. LSU, speaking of which, finally got over the hump and got their much-deserved first Week 1 victory since 2019 when Joe Burrow was last quarterback. And it was about time that they actually won Week 1 because the last 5 have been absolutely pitiful. So, now, does this mean is LSU back? Fingers crossed. We shall see. I don't know how good LSU's going to be this year, but given that Clemson was really high in rank, I would say they have strong odds to be really good this year. So, but yeah, so best of luck to LSU. Other matchups, Miami took down Notre Dame, and that was kind of surprising because I thought Notre Dame was the better team. But then again, Notre Dame is Notre Dame. They're so vastly overrated. It's kind of embarrassing, to be honest. So. But anyway, if you wonder what happened to my Rebs this weekend, we didn't play anybody special. I mean, that's the one gripe I have with our college football scheduling is that we always play these ridiculously stupid cupcake teams in the beginning of the season. Now, I'm glad that that's going to be changing up soon because I think we're better than most people give us credit for. But it is good to, like, kind of like, you know, get your foot in the door, like, see what the team might look like, because I have some thoughts about Ole Miss, but we're not going to talk about that right this minute. So, Ole Miss did win against Georgia State. We won 63-7. So, yeah. With that being said, let's get into Game 1 this week for the New Orleans Saints, baby. Who dat, baby? Let's go, gang. So, all right. So, the Saints are entering this season with Spencer Rattler as the starter for this season. Now, I put an asterisk on that because we don't really know for certain how well Spencer's going to play. And on top of that, we don't even know how long he's going to play as the starter of the New Orleans Saints. So let's talk about that for a minute, because I briefly mentioned in a short that I made a week ago when the Saints officially announced announced Spencer Rattler as the starting quarterback. What does this mean for Spencer Rattler? Well, for starters, and I've been very supportive of him. I mean, why wouldn't I? Like he's on my team. He's a Saints player, and I support all Saints players. So I'm like I have seen potential in him for at least since last year. But the problem is the potential. I need to actually see it flourish more. So like he has a lot of he has a lot of good things about him, but at the same time he's got some bad things he's got to work on. So with that being said, I need to see Spencer Rattler really come out of his shell this season and absolutely prove his doubters wrong, because like we all saw like last season, like of course last season he was a rookie, so we got to give him a little grace there, right? So, but this year he doesn't have as much grace because he's already had seven games played, started in 6 of them, and he didn't win a single one of them. But of course, circumstances, as we all know, we all know what happened last season. We had absolutely nobody. We just had Walmart players, DoorDash players, Burger King employees out there playing football, like you name it. Like we really didn't have anybody for Spencer Rattler to throw the ball to. And there are some people who are absolutely trashing on Spencer Rattler, saying that he stinks and he's horrible and all that. I'm like, hold up, time out. Yes, he's got some flaws. I understand that. But at the same time, we shouldn't be judging him so harshly just based off of games where he had absolutely no help. Like imagine this. Say if the Saints had Joe Burrow on this team, and he had to play behind what Spencer Rattler had to play with. How many games do you think Joe Burrow would have won? We might have been a lot more competitive, I would say that, but at the same time, I don't think Joe Burrow himself would actually survive that horrible O-line that we had last season. On top of that, good luck trying to throw to those receivers. They were trash last season. So the difference is now, though, is that Spencer Rattler is actually playing with all the healthy starters, with the exception of maybe a lineman or two. Trevor Penning is currently day by day at this point. I don't know for certain if he's actually playing this week, but I would assume he might, because Coach Moore did say in his press conference that he might be able to play this week. But at the same time, don't quote me on that. So, but from what I've been hearing is that he's day by day at this point, and he might come back by, I don't know, week 2, week 3, give or take. It just depends how good the health process is for him. So, but there's that. But other than Trevor Penning for the starting offensive line, everybody's practically there. So, which is a great thing for Spencer Rattler. So this should theoretically be an advantage for Spencer Rattler to really showcase what he's made of instead of what we saw last season. So, now if everybody's wondering what's going to happen with like Tyler Shough, as I briefly mentioned in my short earlier last week, I am not panicking over the fact that Tyler Shough, despite being a second-round pick, 40th overall in the draft, I am not panicking over the fact that he's not starting, because, I mean, I wanted to see the best quarterback come out, and clearly Spencer Rattler was the best quarterback to come out. Now, personally, I think that Tyler Shough shows a little more upside than Rattler does. That might be a hot take for a lot of people, but it's because that I think Rattler is just like, he's got a lot of inconsistent flaws, whereas Tyler Shough shows a lot of more polished stuff. So, but at the same time, I'm not stressing over the fact that he's not starting right away, because I also saw Tyler Shough was just simply not ready, not by a long shot. So, and I'm okay with that. Everybody else should be okay with that. Like, if this would be the scenario, I'd rather that Spencer Rattler start first, and if Spencer Rattler just simply doesn't work out, then throw Tyler Shough in the fire. Like, what's the worst that we could get? I mean, the way I see it is that both quarterbacks get their shots officially as an actual NFL starter, and we'll see how both of them pan out. Now, some people are assuming that both of them just simply won't work, and we should definitely be looking towards the draft for next season. Some people are already writing them off and thinking that we're going to get, like, say, Garrett Nussmeier or Lenore Sellers from South Carolina, maybe that Aller guy from Penn State, which I know I got some thoughts about him, but we're not going to talk about him at this minute. So, but with that being said, like, I don't know for certain that we should be pressing the panic button right away, is all I'm saying. So, with that being, but I also hope that Spencer Rattler will also take it a step up to where he's proving people wrong. And look, here's the benefit if he does do that. If Spencer Rattler ends up going off on NFL teams this year, then guess what? We just saved ourselves some draft picks, especially in the first round on a quarterback, and maybe we can, like, build around Rattler. And I've said this multiple times during this offseason on some of my earlier videos. But at the same time, it's too hard to tell about how well Spencer Rattler is going to play. So only time will tell when, after this week coming up couldn't have come by any faster. And I'm really excited to be going up against the Arizona Cardinals, because the Arizona Cardinals are going to be a team to look out for, in my opinion. So, and speaking of the Cardinals, let's go ahead and talk about that matchup. So, the Cardinals have a lot of great playmakers. The problem with them, I've seen the notice over the years, is that they are a very inconsistent team. So, like, Kyler Murray has only had one winning season under his belt. The rest are either mediocre or just absolute garbage. He's gone through two different head coaches at this point, and I don't know what exactly how the Cardinals are going to pan out, but I did notice that they looked a lot better last season, despite being up and down all year long. And on top of that, they got Marvin Harrison Jr., who was a first-round pick last year for the Cardinals, and he's been paying out very well. They also got James Conner, who, despite his age as a running back, he's still a pretty dominant running back for the most part. And then they got a defense that's kind of on the rise. And Arizona has just been known to, like, give teams problems, no matter how mediocre they played last season. So I'm inclined to think that they're going to give us a worthy challenge, and plus this would be the perfect challenge for a really young roster for the Saints. So, and let's go ahead and talk about the Saints for a minute in this matchup. So the key matchup I think we should be looking out for is watching the Spencer Rattler versus Kyler Murray. Which of those quarterbacks is going to stand out the most? Now, Kyler Murray has shown more upside, obviously, and he's probably the more accurate quarterback and the better looking one. But you never underestimate those underdogs. Just never underestimate them, because if you do, they're gonna slap you in the face, punch you in the gut, and you're gonna absolutely regret taking them over the Saints. So, but. On top of that, like, the thing I think, but the other matchup I'm looking for here is how the offensive line for the Saints will go up against a pretty relatively ferocious Cardinals front four. So I can't name them the best players off the top of my head, but I don't think it really matters because, well, as y'all know, our offensive line has not been very good. So, one second, gang. All right, so I was dying of thirst there for a minute. But yeah, so anyway, so the offensive line. So, like I mentioned earlier this offseason that they could be one of the NFL's best offensive lines on paper. There's a key word. The thing though is, like, I was not very comforted by how they played during preseason. My hope is that maybe they just played a very vanilla-styled offense to where they're not supposed to look good. At the same time, it's still not comforting regardless. Because if that O-line can't even do well against, say, backup defenders, then what the hell are we going to do when the starting defense of the Cardinals, for example, show up, that's gonna be a problem, I think. So, yeah. With that being said, like, I think for certain that the offensive line is going to be one key group I'm going to keep an eye out for, and just to see how well they play up. Because here's a fun fact about this Saints O-line. I think everybody knows about this too. But the Saints O-line, 4 out of the 5 starters, I believe, are first-round draft picks. And if you wonder who those people are, Cesar Ruiz, Trevor Penning, Taliesin Fuega, I believe Eric McCoy, correct me on that chat. And then, I'm sorry, no, not Eric McCoy, excuse me, I'm thinking about it. Kelvin Banks Jr. That's 4 out of the 5 guys. Now, maybe Eric McCoy was a first round pick, I don't remember. But clearly, like, that's a lot of first round picks that we have made on offensive line, and I would hope that has worked out for the best for us. However, as we all know, Cesar Ruiz, for example, hasn't exactly been good enough for us. He's been kind of inconsistent with his pass protection and his run game and all that. Like, he hasn't been very good for us. And let me tell you, like, when I was watching the tape for each of the 3 Saints preseason games that he played in, it was very evident that he just doesn't look good, period. So it makes me very concerned for him this year. Like, and on top of that, he's also been very injury prone. So there's that. Now, if it comes down to this is one player who really caught my eye, and all of Saints, or really all of Who Dat Nation's eye, really. The one guy I noticed from that emerged out of preseason was Torricelli Simpkins III. I really loved his ferocious tenacity on that O-line. Like, he was a stone wall. He would just make sure you absolutely feel his presence. Like, I kid you not. Like, this guy was all over the place on that O-line, giving all sorts of protection. He will make sure his quarterback would not get hit. Excuse me. Like, I was amazed by how good this guy was. And guess what? He was an undrafted free agent. Can you believe that? I can't believe that. Like, so, like, this is where I'm going with this. So let's say Cesar Ruiz goes down. Let's say he goes down. Let's throw in Simpkins III. Like, why not? Because for Simpkins III, he played guard for all of college, I believe, and that's his natural position. And I believe Cesar Ruiz is a guard himself. So if he goes down with another injury, and honestly, I think that it would not surprise any of us if he did, I say we throw him in there, see what he's made of with the starting offense, because he could be a gem that we found in the undrafted free agents that we've been looking for. And that would be a huge solidified answer to our problems with that particular side of the O-line. I'm talking about the right side. That's where most of our pressure has been coming from lately, I've noticed. So yeah, like, if that were to happen, throw in Simpkins III, let's see what he's made of against a starting defense, and we just go from there. So, but it's very encouraging to see him emerge from preseason, especially when we really, really need the depth that we clearly lack, because this preseason took a toll on our depth, which is really sad. So, but yeah, going back to this game, I'm sorry, I got a little carried away with the O-line, but it is a pretty important it's a pretty important thing to talk about, because that's like, if you don't have a good O-line, you're not going to win games, period. So it's one thing to have a bad quarterback. It's another thing to have a bad O-line with a bad quarterback. So, yeah. But the next matchup I want to see is the Saints receivers versus the secondary of the Cardinals. That's going to be an interesting matchup to see, because this offseason, we already knew about Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. We already knew those two were solidified starters. And then Brandon Cooks, he's a wide receiver 3 for certain. But we have made some effort to like kind of like slowly but surely fix the problem with our receiver room, because I said earlier this offseason that our receiver room is probably the weakest part of the Saints with this year's team. And and let me tell you, it kind of proved me right a little bit. Like, other than Mason Tipton just continuing to go off during preseason, and I'm taking that for a grain of salt because he did the same thing last year, and he played a few games last year, and he didn't do absolutely anything. So, but he didn't step up his game this year again, but again, we should take that for a grain of salt. So, but with that being said, like, the thing they really can't decide to really address is the receiver room in recent weeks, especially after preseason wrapped up, and I really love that they did. So, like, for example, we got Devon Vell from the Denver Broncos. We sent over a 4th and 7th round draft pick. So the 4th, I believe, is next year, and then the 7th is the year after that. So now a lot of people were like complaining that we were giving away draft picks for players that are unproven. Well, Devon Vell showed a lot of promise last year for the Broncos, and plus he is that really big, tough receiver that you're looking for. Yes, the age is a bit of a concern. I get that. He's 28 years old, but at the same time, like, he's just now starting his college career. He's not like, say, this journeyman receiver who's been around the league for like 4 or 5 years already. So like, I'm not totally concerned about him. What I really love about Devon Vell is that he's one of those 6'3" receivers, big body receivers that we desperately need, because everybody we have just is either below 6 foot or just at 6 foot, and they're just fast and injury prone. And Devon Vell kind of fits that need for a big body receiver that is physical enough to like power through those secondary players of opposing defenses. That's what we're looking for. But we didn't stop there. We made some other acquisitions. We made some from just recently. We got Trey Palmer from the Buccaneers, who we acquired from their practice squad. We also got somebody else. I can't remember. Who did we get? I can't remember. If you guys know who I'm talking about, please comment below. But I know we got a third receiver from somewhere. I just can't. Dang it, man! I can't believe I forgot so quickly. But anyway, so with that being said, like, we started picking up people that we really, really needed, and these are like receivers that were a huge need. Like, we're talking like big body receivers, as I already mentioned. So like, that was an obvious thing that was much needed. And guess what? Here's a perk about some of these receivers, including everyone else that's currently on the team. Hey, what's up, Black Major? How you doing? Who dat, baby? Glad you guys could tune into my podcast. Hope you guys enjoy this video, gang. So I'm going over the key matchups for the Saints versus Cardinals matchup coming up this Sunday. You guys ready for some football? Type in who dat for me, baby. Who dat? Type in who dat. I'm ready for some football, gang. So, where was I going? Oh, well, that's right. So, receivers. So, we now have, I would say, on paper, again, I have to emphasize the part on paper, I really love our receiving room more than I did before this season even started. Because now we have receivers who are lightning fast. We have receivers who are big and physical and over 6 foot for once. And they also happen to have playmakers. Like, I know Brandon Cooks is old and he's probably like on the verge of retirement eventually. But at the same time, he's still a fast type of receiver that you're looking for, especially when you're making the deep throws and making some mid throws or something like that. So, like, I really, really love this receiver room more than I did previously. I really love the fact that they really took the time to, like, I really like the fact that they really took this time to, like, really improve that part of the team. Because, as I already mentioned, I felt like that part of the room was the weakest out of the entire team. Oh, yeah, Black Ninja, I'm about to get into that in just a second, so... Yeah, so with that being said, that's the key matchups on the offensive side of the ball. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. So, as we all know, the Saints defense in the last couple years, the one big thing that has killed us is containing a mobile quarterback. I can't emphasize how important it is we got to contain Kyler Murray at the best of our abilities. And that I'm really hoping that Brandon Staley is coming up with some schemes to really kick that to really find a way to contain him, force all the pressure in the world, but not enough pressure to where he gets away and gets big time yards. So yeah, but the thing I want to see the most is how our linebackers do that part of the job. And I already been giving a lot of praise towards the linebackers. I think we finally have a strong linebacker group. I mean, we already had one of the best linebackers in the NFL, oh crap, Demario Davis. There we go. About to say DeMarco Murray for a minute. Wrong guy. But we only have him. We have a bunch of other guys, but the rookies, I tell you, Danny Stutzman in particular. Oh man, I hope he gets some playing time this coming Sunday because I kid you not, I am one of his biggest fans because he is that kind of linebacker that is very similar to Demario Davis. The way his play style is, he is an absolute beast to reckon with, and he's one of those kind of linebackers who can keep his eye out for the quarterback, especially against Kyle Murray of all teams. Because that was one of his strong suits in college, was that Danny Stutzman can track down a quarterback very quickly or track down a running back really quickly. That's something I really love about him. So he's a great addition to our linebacker group. And on top of that, and this just happened recently, that Stallbird fella, I can't remember what his first name is, but that Stallbird guy really emerged out of preseason as well. So that just adds to the depth. Now, I don't know if he's going to start this weekend, and I don't know for certain, but if he does, then great. But I'm thinking that's not going to happen, but he's going to be a very reliable backup to have. On top of that, he's going to be really good for special teams, which, by the way, in case y'all didn't see, Kellen Moore announced that JT Gray was released today, which comes as a bit of a shocker. So, not sure why, because he was an all-pro kind of player, especially on special teams, but he said it was the hardest decision he's ever made. So, but in Kellen Moore, I trust. Maybe he saw something better than what he currently saw in JT Gray. Who knows? So, but yeah. So anyway, so the defense in particular, as a whole, is part of the Saints that we're looking for. To see how well they contain Kyler Murray, how well they can shut down the running game with James Conner, how well they can contain, how well the secondary can contain all the receivers, especially Marvin Harrison Jr. Excuse me. But yeah. So now, get ready, gang, because this might get a little nuts. Now, the one thing this probably caught y'all's eye is I did say I was going to do this one crazy thing if the Saints do make the playoffs. Now I know that's a tall task. So, but bear with me. I told myself that if the Saints do make the playoffs with the team that we have now, and with everybody assuming that the Saints are going to absolutely get their rocks kicked or they're going to absolutely suck this year, I am willing to get myself a tattoo, put it on my little derriere, if you know what I mean. I'm willing to do something of the sort if the Saints do make the playoffs. Now, I know that sounds a little wild. Maybe not too wild. But at the same time, I'm a realistic Saints fan. I think we'll be a lot better this year. But at the same time, I don't know for certain. So, but I figured, because me and my boys were talking what would you do if the Saints actually made the playoffs with the team that we have now? And I said I would do just that. Now, do I honestly think the Saints will make the playoffs this year. Here's where I stand with that. So I think first, it's hard to tell because there's so many question marks on this team. Like there's a lot of question marks on this team. However, it's those question marks that has me thinking this is where teams are going to underestimate the Saints big time. And I think that because of that little convenient fact is where we're going to be smashing teams in the mouth. They're going to underestimate us left and right. We could be a lot better than people give us credit for. Excuse me. And that's what's got me a little excited because everyone's severely underrating us right now. They look at our team, they look at a quarterback, and they're like, "Hey, these guys are trash." I'm like, okay, but we haven't seen us actually play a full season with the actual stars. Like, for example, we all saw the first 2 games of the last season, right? I know we had a different quarterback with Derek Carr and all that, but still, the first 2 games, we actually looked like a threat to contend with in the NFC and the NFL as a whole. Like, we looked so good. What happens if that happens again, but this time under different circumstances? We have a first-time head coach. He's got all the plays in the world. Like, I expect him to run the ball pretty heavily. Like, there's a lot that could happen that could allow the Saints to actually win and actually make the playoffs, which is why I'm making this pretty bold prediction that we might just do that. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Y'all can come after me and roast the hell out of me all you want, but I am going to put a little faith on my boys, and I'm going to say the Saints will make the playoffs in 2025. Can I get a Who Dat gang? That's right. I'll gladly take a Who Dat from y'all. In Rattler we trust, and Kellen Moore we trust. This might be a wild take, but I don't care. I'm putting it out there. The Saints will make the playoffs in 2025. So, now, with that being said, let's go ahead and go over the rest of the NFL. Like, I'm not going to cover I'm not going to go over every single aspect of the thing. I'm making my personal predictions. I do this every single year with my buddies and with my brother, actually. Shout out to my little brother, Ryan Spires. So I'm just going to go through each division. I'm going to make predictions. Who's going to finish first? Who's going to finish last? Who's going to make the playoffs? Etc. So we're going to go through this real quick. So bear with me. So, what's up, Who Dat? I see you there. That's right, Who Dat, baby. Are you guys ready for Saints football this weekend? I sure am. All right, so let's go ahead. Oh, yeah, by the way, let's comment below, Falcons suck. Because they do suck, believe me. I tell you what, I saw a trash can the other day. It was sitting in the middle of the road. I thought, what are the Atlanta Falcons doing there? Woo! So, man, screw the Falcons. So, all right, let's go ahead and get through this round around the NFL predictions and whatnot. So, we're going to start with the AFC because that's what I usually do. We're going to start with the AFC East. So, I think Buffalo's going to be first once again. I think they'll be either the number 1 or number 2 seed for the AFC side of things. And who do I think will finish last? I think the Jets will finish last this time. I think New England might be a little better, not much, not by much. I think they might win more than 4 games this time. But I think the Jets are going to regress. Well, what I'm going to talk about, the Jets have been regressing. So I think the Jets are going to finish dead last with Miami and New England kind of fighting for second and third at this point. Get the Falcons logo on your... Oh, okay, yeah, I get what you're talking about. So, anyway, so that's the AFC East. AFC North. This one's challenging because I think Baltimore should win their division, but at the same time, it could be Pittsburgh that might follow on. They weren't too far behind Baltimore. But at the same time, Cincinnati could be right behind them too. But now Cincinnati's different because they have an elite offense but absolutely no defense. They're basically the Saints of 2014 through 2016. We do not miss those days. Am I right, Saints fans? So, dead last, Cleveland, easily. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Unless they start Shedeur Sanders sometime mid-season, which I don't think will happen, but you never know with the NFL. So, with that being said, I think Baltimore wins again this year, and then Cleveland's finishing dead last, with Cincinnati and Pittsburgh fighting for second and third place. Moving on to the AFC South. This one's a little challenging as well because Houston, who I thought would really light up the field last season, did not do that. Now, granted, they did make the playoffs as far as a divisional round, that is. They also had a lot of issues on offense to where they weren't that great. So, mainly offensive line, of course. Some quarterback here and there, but they did also have a lot of injuries as well, so there's that. But yeah, so who do I think wins this division? It's gonna be a toss-up between Indianapolis and Houston, but I'm going with Houston still because I think they're still the better team. Indianapolis may or may not be too far behind, but it also depends on how well their quarterbacks play, to be honest with you. I mean, let's not forget, Indianapolis playing Daniel Jones. Or should I say, discount Eli Manning. So, who's finishing dead last? Tennessee, easily. Unless Jacksonville is feeling gracious enough to take over that spot, but Tennessee is not, they're nowhere close. So, yeah, so moving on to the AFC West. Kansas City is going to have a lot of challenges this year. I don't think Kansas City is going to be as good as they've been in the last couple years. I think that they're going to have a lot of challenge with Los Angeles and Denver right behind their tails. I think Denver will really give it to them this year because they were so close last time. I think they won once. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong or not. But I think that Kansas City, they might be able to win the division. But I'm going to make a bold statement here. I think Denver takes the division this year. Yes, that sounds crazy, but I mean, Kansas City looked horrible in that last Super Bowl. I kid you not, they looked so bad last year. It was embarrassing. Sure, the score says one thing, but we all know the real score. Am I right, chat? So, but I think Denver takes it this year. Kansas City's going to follow right behind them. Los Angeles is going to be also right behind Kansas City, but it's going to be a fist fight towards the end. And then, well, you have Las Vegas. So, now let's quickly get into the NFC side of things. The NFC, we're going to go with the NFC East. Philadelphia, reigning Super Bowl champions. They're going to have a fist fight with Washington because they got Jaden Daniels now. And Jaden Daniels really was the difference maker for Washington. If you're an LSU fan, you see Jaden Daniels balling out, you should be pretty dang proud. I can say that much. So, but in regards to, say, Dallas and New York, those two are going to be fighting for the bottom of the barrel. That's all there is to it. So, but for this division, it's going to be Philadelphia, I think, unless Washington does just enough to force Philadelphia, beat Philadelphia for one, both times, and actually take that division away from them. It's going to be a toss-up for that one. But I think Philly's secure that division once again with the Dallas Cowboys this time finishing dead last. Because I don't believe in the Cowboys no more. I mean, why shouldn't we? So, let's go to the NFC North. The North's going to be kind of fascinating because they could potentially, on paper, have four really good teams. Detroit being the best team last season, even though they went one and done, which was really embarrassing if I'm a Lions fan. But I don't think Minnesota's going to be as good this year because they have J.J. McCarthy playing, and we don't know how good he's going to be. Now, we did say the same thing when they had what's-his-face playing for the Vikings at that point. But I would say that the Vikings this year might be a team you're like, I don't know about you guys. They might finish 9-8 or 8-9, but I wouldn't go any higher than that. So I think they might finish dead last this year, but only because they have a very competitive division. Because Green Bay, I think, is going to step it up a notch. They just got Micah Parsons from the trade with the Dallas Cowboys, which, by the way, if I'm a Dallas fan, period, I would probably be drinking for the rest of my life, given how poorly. Oh God! I swear, Dallas general managers must take meth or something, because they are the dumbest general managers I've ever seen. But enough about those guys. So, but I think this year, I'm gonna say Green Bay takes the division this year. I know Detroit was the best team last year in that division period and in the NFL period, but I don't know. I think Green Bay takes up a notch. I think Detroit will fight it to the end with those guys, but I don't think it's gonna be enough for Detroit. I think Green Bay takes that division with Detroit following right behind them, and Chicago will be better than Minnesota, but only by like a game. So if I'm wrong, and I'm wrong, you can call me out on that. So anyway. So let's go to the NFC East. I'm leaving all division for last just because I have some roasting to do. So, but NFC West. This one's complicated because the Rams for the last 2 or 3 years have been the team to sneak by and win that division. And I expect them to kind of do it again because Seattle just got a whole new quarterback, whole new offensive system. Like, they're changing their whole offense. They got rid of Geno Smith. They got rid of DK Metcalf. And they replaced him with what's that dude's name? He came from the Rams. I think y'all know who I'm talking about. But at the same, and then they got Arizona, who we just talked about possibly being the team to look out for. They might give the Rams problems, and they have been giving every team in that division problems all year long for the last couple seasons, especially last year. So, and then there's San Francisco. San Francisco losing almost most of their stars to injuries, and on top of that, trades and free agents. Like, I don't see San Francisco getting back. I don't think I don't think they're going to do that good. So let's put it that way. But yeah. So who do I think is finishing first? I'm going to say the Rams finish first again for the 4th or 5th year in a row. I forget how long it's been, but I'm going to say that Arizona follows right behind them, and then Seattle will finish 3rd, and San Francisco finishes dead last again. So, but it's going to be a very competitive division in that one. And now let's talk about yours truly, the NFC South, with the 3 bozos in this division called the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Atlanta Fail Clowns, and the Carolina Pussycats. So, what do I expect in this division? Given that the Saints are a huge question mark, and so are the Panthers, unlike what Panther fans say, because Panther fans think their team's so good after a 5-12 start last year. But I think that this year the Saints are going to take division. Now, look, it might sound a little biased from me being a Saints fan, but I just can't see Tampa Bay winning the division. Will be like 4 years in a row. And yes, Tampa Bay probably has the better offense out of everybody in that division. I just don't see the Buccaneers actually winning the division 4 years in a row. There's just no way. Atlanta. Okay, let's talk about Atlanta for a second. Atlanta, I love how the NFL is they're all over their behinds about how good they're going to be, how good Kyle Pitts is going to be. We've heard this for 3 or 4 years in a row. Come on, man, give me a break. And they think that Michael Penix Jr. is going to be their Lord and Savior or something like that. We only saw him in 3 or 4 games last year, and those 3 or 4 games he was okay. I'm not going to say he was trash, but he was just okay. And seeing how he played in preseason does not come from me one bit if I'm a Falcons fan. So, like I do not believe in Atlanta whatsoever, and I could care less about what Atlanta does. So, but yeah, so like I don't see Atlanta being that good, and their defense is still a question mark because their defense is mediocre at best. And the thing about Atlanta is like I don't know why everyone's so high on them. Like did they forget that Atlanta had like a 4-2 start to their season, or like maybe it was six. I think it was a 6-2 start to this season. They were at the top of the division, and then they crashed and burned after they played yours truly, the New Orleans Saints. And I love it. That's a very convenient fact about us. So, but yeah. So with that being said, like I don't believe in Atlanta at all. Carolina, yeah, good one. So I think this year the Saints could potentially win their division for the first time since Drew Brees retired. I think, but it's gonna be a fist fight between us and Tampa Bay. Now, I know that's a big, huge asterisk right there because I don't know how well we're going to play, how good the team's going to play. But I think with the talent that we have, we could potentially just turn heads and just completely shock the NFL. And I hope that happens. And I'm really hoping that they come through for your boy here because he just made a prediction that we're going to make the playoffs this coming season. So yeah, so that is my quick around the NFL prediction for this 2025 season. Are you ready for some football game? I sure am. Let me read the chat here for a second. Let's see. I think we might surprise a lot of teams. I agree, Miscellaneous Mel. Shout out to you, Miscellaneous Mel. Thank you for checking out my channel here. If you are not a subscriber yet, subscribe to my channel. We'll be doing this on a weekly routine basis, hence the term of hence the name of my channel, the Who Dat Weekly. So, because I do agree, like I think we will surprise a lot of teams because we have a lot of underrated talent, especially how well we drafted this past draft, with the exception of the second round, because that's still up in the air for the debate. But I think teams are going to severely underestimate us. So I really think they are going to underestimate us. All right, shout out Mel, one of my new followers. Let's go, baby. Who dat? So, but. Anyway, so let me think what else I can talk about real quick before I wrap this up and submit the intro and everything. Well, ending video. So, but yeah, so like I'm excited about this NFL season. We finally have some real football instead of that lame, pathetic, boring preseason football. I mean, it's not boring or anything like that. It's just, it's preseason. I mean, it gets you a nice little, excuse me. It's like the appetizer you get at the restaurant, but that's not the real thing you're looking for. So, yeah. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video game. We'll be back next week for really after the Saints versus Cardinals post-game reaction video, which I will yours truly will be there personally. So I'll get a nice, well thought out analysis after the game. So I can't wait, guys. I'm so excited football is back, baby. So, alright, again, I will talk to you guys later. Alright, gang. Who dat, baby? Peace out.